A river does not pull the mountain to follow its path, yet it finds its way patient and clear. Before we begin, breathe. Not to prepare for reaction, but to become still. Still enough to hear the truth that is often buried beneath noise, emotion, and longing. Whether you are a woman seeking clarity or a man learning to hold space, this message is not about blame or control. It is about understanding the art of presence within yourself and within relationships, because the way we show up with another is always a mirror of how we show up with ourselves. Let us begin not to fix the outside, but to return where all alignment begins. Do not lose yourself to be loved. You, a tree that bends too often in the wind, eventually forgets how to stand. There is a certain beauty in softness, in gentleness, in yielding. And yet, like the bamboo in the mountain breeze, softness must coexist with roots. Without roots, softness becomes surrender, and not of ego, but of essence. Too often, in the search for love, many forget themselves. They become a reflection of the other person's needs, desires, moods. Like water poured into different vessels, they take on the shape of what surrounds them, not realizing that water must also remember its source. In the teachings of the Shaolin temple, we are told, do not abandon the inner temple for the outer world. The temple is not just the building of stone and silence. It is the clarity of your mind, the rhythm of your breast, the strength of your choices. When a woman bends beyond her own truth just to maintain a connection, she begins to move further from that sacred center. The further she drifts, the more her identity fades into the background, becoming a ghost in the story of her own life. This teaching is not about rebellion or defiance. It is about remembrance. In Zen, we speak of tathata, the suchness of things, the idea that everything has its true nature, and peace comes from honoring it, not reshaping it to fit another's mold. So too with love. Love must meet you where you are, not where you've contorted yourself to be. If the connection asks you to shrink, to silence your joy, to second-guess you, it is dependency dressed in the robes of affection. Observe the body when it holds a posture too long. The limbs ache, the breath shortens, and the heart, once open and strong, begins to whisper in discomfort. So too the spirit aches when it holds onto a relationship that demands the constant dimming of its light. The discipline of the Shaolin way is not only in movement, it is in the stillness required to hear that ache and honor it. Let this be a quiet call back to your center, a reminder that you are not here to be chosen by everyone. You are here to walk in truth, and in doing so you become a light for those who see clearly. Relationships based on performance are fragile. They collapse the moment your ex slips. But when you are rooted in who you are, you no longer fear losing what is not aligned. Practice this in daily life. Sit in silence and breathe into your core. Ask not how you can please another, but how you can return to yourself. Make decisions from stillness, not fear, and watch how the quality of your relationships changes. Not because others shifted, but because you stopped abandoning your own path to walk theirs. Let your presence speak louder than your pleasing. Do not chase silence where words are needed. A pond reflects only what is shown to it. It cannot guess the shape of the sky. In the monastery, we are taught that silence is sacred. But silence, like the still surface of a lake, must hold clarity, not concealment. There is a difference between a mind that rests in silence and one that hides behind it. In relationships, many believe that peace is kept by not speaking. They hold back discomfort, mask their sorrow, and swallow the truth to keep harmony intact. But harmony built upon suppression is not harmony at all. It is tension dressed in quiet robes, waiting to fracture with time. When the wind carries tension across a lake, the water ripples. It reacts. But the still pond that reflects the moon without distortion does so not because it lacks movement, but because it knows how to release without resistance. In the same way, authentic communication is not about fighting or forcing. It is about release. It is about revealing the truth of your experience without attachment to how it will be received. In Shaolin, we learn that the purpose of voice is not noise. It is to connect breath with intention and intention with clarity. A woman may feel hurt, unheard, unseen, and yet she remains silent, hoping that the man beside her will understand through intuition what she does not express through speech. But he is not the sky and she is not the mirror. Without voice, there can be no reflection. Without expression, there can be no understanding. You do not plant a seed by thinking about it. You plant it by placing it into the earth. And so it is with words. They must be placed gently into the soil of another's awareness if you wish for anything to grow. This teaching is not about confrontation, it is about courage. The courage to name what you feel, the courage to risk misunderstanding in order to be known. Too many wounds in relationships do not come from what is said, but from what is never said at all. Silence becomes a shield, then a wall, then a prison. And before long, two people can sit in the same room and feel like strangers. There is discipline in speaking truth without anger, in expressing needs without expectation, in sharing your soul without pleading for validation. It is a practice, a breath, a release. And it begins with one simple question: what am I afraid to say? In that question lies your path to healing. For the Shaolin way teaches us to face not only the external opponent, but the internal hesitation. The place where fear of rejection has silenced our voice. Do not wait for the perfect moment to speak. Speak with gentleness now. Not every truth will be received with grace, but every truth spoken with presence brings you closer to your own alignment. You are not here to be understood completely, but you are here to live without hiding. Let your voice be a bridge, not a weapon, not a wall. Let it rise like mist from the morning lake, soft but certain. He stands not to be right, but to be real. Do not try to control the flow of another's past. The wind passes through the mountain, but it does not shape it. In the mountains, the wind moves freely. It whispers around the rocks, dances through the trees, and never demands that the mountain move. It flows, and in flowing, it honors the stillness of what is beyond its control. This is the way of nature, and this too is the way of relationships. But many forget this. In the delicate balance between connection and fear, it is common to want to hold too tightly, to guide, correct, reshape the person beside you, not out of cruelty, but out of the quiet terror that if you do not steer their path, you may be left behind by it. Yet the more you try to control the direction of another's life, the more you lose the harmony of your own. In the Shaolin path, we learn that true strength is not the force to move another, but the wisdom to let them walk their journey, even if that path leads away from your own. Love, when it is rooted in clarity, does not bind, it does not chase, it does not manipulate through guilt or silent expectation. It simply offers presence. And then it lets the other choose. There is suffering in the illusion that closeness requires control, that if you guide his choices, limit his movements, monitor his decisions, you will find safety. But control is a house made of sand. You may feel powerful for a moment, but you are always one wave away from collapse. And worse, you begin to shrink yourself in the process. You become less focused on your own spiritual walk and more fixated on being the architect of someone else's path. It is a form of inner violence, subtle and unseen, not just toward the one you try to control, but toward your own peace. You begin to grasp, cling, overthink, push, and soon the flow between two souls becomes strained, burdened by the weight of invisible chains. A relationship should be a sacred meeting of two rivers, not one river damming the other to change its course. If he must grow, let him grow. If he must stumble, let him stumble. Offer your presence like the sun, not to force the bloom, but to support it when it's ready. There is freedom in this. There is space, and in space there is clarity. When we stop trying to control, we begin to see the truth of what is. Not what we wish, not what we fear, but what is. This is the foundation of mindfulness, of Shaolin practice. To observe, not react, to release the grip, and to trust that anything truly aligned with your path will never require you to abandon your own journey to hold it together. Breathe into this idea. He is not yours to fix. He is not yours to shape. He is not yours to make ready. He is simply a traveler who may walk beside you for a time, or perhaps for longer. But if you must lead his steps to feel secure, then what you have is not love. It is dependence dressed as care. A master once said, to hold the bird too tightly is to crush its wings. And so it is with people. Let love be light. Let the wind move through your life without resistance. When someone chooses to stay in your space freely, not through pressure, not through persuasion, you will feel the difference. It will feel like peace, not because you've controlled it into existence, but because you've let go of needing to. And in that letting go, you make room for truth to enter. Do not ignore the small fires. Even the great forest burns from a single neglected ember. In the quiet spaces of daily life, it is often the smallest signs that speak the loudest. A sigh that goes unnoticed, a gaze that no longer lingers, a word spoken not in anger but in carelessness. These moments pass like dry leaves in the wind, light, almost invisible. And yet, when left unacknowledged, they gather, they settle, they become fewer, until one day a spark is enough to ignite what has long been waiting to burn. The Shaolin path teaches us to train the eye, not just to see, but to perceive. Not just to notice the storm, but to recognize the change in air before the first drop falls. In relationships, it is easy to overlook the subtle shifts, to explain them away, to say he didn't mean it or it's not a big deal. But mindfulness means being present, not just when the world shakes, but when the floorboards first creak. When a woman silences her intuition in favor of hope, when she excuses behavior that diminishes her, she is not practicing patience, she is practicing self-neglect. The flame does not wait for your permission, and love, if it is to survive, must be rooted not in fantasy, but in attention. Attention to the way he speaks to you when no one is watching. Attention to how your soul feels in his presence. Not just your heart, but your breath, your energy, your stillness. In the monastery, we tend the fire daily, not because it is in danger, but because it is sacred. We clean the ashes, feed it gently, watch how it moves. Relationships require the same care. When a word hurts, it must be named. When a boundary is crossed, it must be re-established. Not with violence, but with calm certainty. If you do not speak the small truths, they will become large silences. And silence, when it hardens, becomes separate. Do not wait for the fire to consume the forest. Tend to it when it is still a whisper. In Zen we learn that everything leaves a trace. The breath, the step, the thought. So too every moment of disregard, however slight, leaves a mark. This is not paranoia, it is awareness. It is choosing to be awake in your own life, to not fall asleep in comfort and wake up in chaos. There is discipline in this, the discipline of observation, of honoring your internal signals. The body knows before the mind. It tenses, withdraws, resists. The spirit dims in the presence of what dishonors it. Trust that knowing. Trust the tightening in your chest when a boundary is bent. Trust the ache in your silence when your voice has gone unheard too long. And yet, act without aggression. Speak without accusation. Watch without judgment. This is the Shaolin way. Not to react, but to respond. To move with purpose, not panic. To understand that love too must be trained, like the body. Daily, with breath, with presence, with honest care. And when you tend to the small fires, you preserve the temple. Not just the one between two people, but the one within. The one that holds your peace. The one that whispers even in the quietest moment. You are not here to endure. You are here to be aware. Let us now turn toward what lives beyond the flame. Do not abandon the temple within. A lotus blooms from mud, not because of the water, but because of its nature. There is a sacred place within each of us, a space untouched by noise, untouched by praise or rejection, untouched by the ever-changing winds of human emotion. In the Shaolin tradition, this space is the inner temple. It is not made of wood or stone, but of breath, of stillness, of quiet awareness. And yet, in relationships, especially those where love feels like both comfort and chaos, many forget this temple. They walk out of themselves and into the world of another, believing that to love fully is to lose completely. But the path of the warrior is different. The Shaolin master does not abandon the mountain to chase the clouds. He does not sacrifice balance for companionship, and neither should you. A woman who forgets her temple for a man may wake up one day not knowing whose life she is living. She may look in the mirror and see only reflections of his desires, his expectations, his needs, until her own voice is faint, her rituals forgotten. This forgetting is not sudden. It is a slow erosion, a missed morning of solitude, a skipped moment of breath, a habit of silence in place of truth. The body holds memory. It remembers what it means to feel whole. But the longer we stay disconnected from our practices of presence, the harder it becomes to return. In the monastery, even on days when the rain falls and the wind bites, we train, not because we feel strong, but because we honor the temple within. The same is true for your spirit. You must return to it daily, not when things fall apart, but especially when things seem fine. Because stillness is not only for healing. It is for remembering who you are before the world told you who to be. Your inner world must not be abandoned in exchange for temporary closeness. If you stop meditating, if you stop reflecting, if you stop sitting with yourself just to sit with someone else, your spirit begins to hunger. And hunger disguised as love leads to dependence. True connection can only exist when two beings carry their own fire, not when one becomes the flame and the other the shadow. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were with yourself without reaching for a screen, a person, a distraction? When was the last time you breathed not just to survive, but to return? The more you forget your temple, the more you expect others to become it. And they cannot. They will fall short, not because they are unworthy, but because they are human. Even in love, you must remain anchored. Even in closeness, you must remain whole. The lotus does not bloom for the pond. It blooms because that is its nature. It rises from darkness, not for applause, but because it remembers the sun. You too must rise, not for validation, not for affection, but because your spirit longs to. This does not mean detachment from people. It means devotion to yourself. It means waking before the world rises and sitting in the breath. It means listening to your body, tending to your thoughts, basing in your own silence. This is not selfish, this is sacred maintenance. This is the act of returning to the temple every day, sweeping the floor of your mind, lighting the incense of your awareness, bowing to your own presence. For when a woman knows how to return to herself, she becomes immovable, not rigid, but rooted. And the man who meets her in this space of strength does not feel threatened. He feels invited to meet her in presence, not possession. And now, with the temple lit from within, the path opens to what lies beyond even self. Let us walk it. Before we move again into the noise of the day, let us return one last time to the stillness we began with. You have walked through 5 reflections, each like a stepping stone across a quiet river. None were spoken to change others, but to help you remember the power you hold when you stop abandoning yourself. A tree does not envy the wind, a mountain does not follow the rain, and you too are not meant to lose your shape for love. In the Shaolin tradition, we do not train to become invincible. We train to become aware, to see clearly, to act without haste, to speak without harm, to love without losing ourselves. These teachings are not easy, but they are simple, and they begin always within. Let this be your gentle invitation. Start today, not by seeking more, but by honoring what already lives in you. I thank you for listening, not just with your ears, but with your presence. May these words stay with you like a soft breath in your chest, returning when you need them most. Walk gently, be rooted, and above all, remain awake.